In the bustling heart of a modern city, there lived a diverse community of people from different backgrounds and walks of life. Amidst the towering skyscrapers and busy streets, a parable unfolded that would leave a profound impact on the hearts and minds of those who encountered it. In this city, where the pace of life often left little room for genuine human connection, a lawyer approached a wise teacher one day, seeking to test him. With a hint of skepticism, he asked, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" The wise teacher, perceiving the lawyer's underlying intentions, answered with a question of his own, "What is written in the law? How do you understand it?" The lawyer, well versed in the scriptures, replied, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." The wise teacher smiled, acknowledging the lawyer's correct answer, and said, "You have answered rightly." However, the lawyer, eager to justify himself, posed another question, "And who is my neighbor?" In response, the wise teacher began to weave a tale that would challenge the lawyer's assumptions and forever transform his perspective. In this city, there was a man who journeyed through life, driven by his ambitions and consumed by his own pursuits. One fateful day, as he walked down a dimly lit alley, he fell prey to the violence of robbers who left him bruised, battered, and stripped of all his belongings. The man lay on the cold pavement, his cries for help echoing into the urban abyss. Now, by chance, a prominent businessman happened to pass by. He was adorned in an immaculate suit, with a phone pressed against his ear, engrossed in his own important affairs. He caught a glimpse of the wounded man but quickly averted his gaze, choosing to prioritize his hectic schedule over a stranger's suffering. With a heavy heart, he hurriedly continued on his way. Shortly thereafter, a young artist approached the scene. His eyes, usually bright with inspiration, were clouded by the weight of his own creative struggles. He paused for a moment, contemplating whether to intervene. But the fear of getting involved, of disrupting the flow of his artistry, held him back. With a sigh of regret, he moved on, leaving the wounded man behind. As despair threatened to consume the injured man, a figure approached. This figure was not a person of influence or prominence. Rather, he was a humble immigrant, a man of Samaritan descent, a stranger in this city. He saw the wounded man and, without hesitation, rushed to his aid. The Samaritan knelt beside the injured man, cleansing his wounds and bandaging them with the limited supplies he carried. He cradled the man's head and whispered comforting words, assuring him that help had arrived. The Samaritan then carefully lifted the injured man, carrying him to a nearby hospital where he ensured the man received proper care. He stayed by his side, offering his support and resources until the man's recovery was assured. The wise teacher turned to the lawyer and asked, "Which of these three, in your opinion, was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers?" The lawyer, his heart softened by the parable, replied, "The one who showed him mercy." With a gentle nod, the wise teacher concluded, "Go and do likewise." The lawyer, humbled by the profound lesson he had learned, left the presence of the wise teacher, forever changed. The parable had exposed the flaws in his narrow perceptions of neighborliness, urging him to transcend societal boundaries and embrace compassion without discrimination. And so, the parable of the Good Samaritan echoed through the city, inspiring those who heard it to break free from their self-imposed barriers of indifference. It awakened a collective sense of responsibility, encouraging people to extend a helping hand to their fellow citizens, regardless of their differences. In this modern city, the legacy of the Good Samaritan lived on, reminding everyone that compassion knows no boundaries and that true neighborliness lies in acts of selfless love and kindness. And thus, the parable of the Good Samaritan continues to challenge us all, inviting us to examine our own lives, to be aware of those in need around us, and to respond with open hearts and hands. For in doing so, we become not only recipients but also bearers of the transformative power of love and mercy, bringing light and healing to the world.
The moral of this story, the parable of the Good Samaritan, set in a modern city, teaches us that true compassion knows no boundaries. It reminds us that our actions, driven by genuine love and kindness, have the power to heal and transform lives. Regardless of our differences in background, status, or beliefs, we are called to be good neighbors to those in need. The moral of this story is to embrace empathy, reach out to others with open hearts, and actively engage in acts of compassion and mercy. In doing so, we contribute to creating a more caring and inclusive society, where every person is valued and supported.